Hi students, good morning. Welcome back to our physics classes. I hope all of you are fine. And during the last classes or till the last class, we have finished our first three chapters from electrostatics. First three chapters from electrostatics. During these chapters, we have seen what is electric charge and what are the properties of electric charges, then electric field, electric potential, and we have stopped with electric potential then. So if you have a charge with you, you find it has some electric field surrounding it, and it should possess you, or it will provide you some potential, electric potential. Electric charge provide you an electric potential. So if you want to store, and moreover this potential, sometime it will become dangerous, potential will become dangerous. So if you want to store some electric charges, suppose you want to store some electric charges, how you have to store these charges, or where you will keep these charges? And as the suppose you are keeping some large amount of charge at a place, it will provide you a potential, and if the potential is more and it will grow more and more, it will become dangerous. So to avoid such a dangerous situation, or by avoiding such dangerous situation, how you can store electric charges, or where you can store electric charges? That was a question on those days. So scientists modified the properties of conductor so as to store electric charges effectively. What I mean by effective storage of charges? Effective storage of charges means you can store electric charges somewhere, but it will not provide you a larger potential which will become dangerous one. So to keep the potential as minimum as possible, how you can store electric charges as maximum as possible? That was an question, and that was an effort for scientists on those days. So they have utilized some properties of conductors, so as to design a device which can store electric charges. So in the fourth chapter in your syllabus, in the textbook, we are going to discuss such a device which can store electric charges without increasing the potential too much. That means, as I already told you, the effective storage of electric charges. So I have told you, scientists utilized the properties of conductors so as to design a device which can store electric charges. So what do you mean by a conductor? And I think all of you are familiar with the term conductor, because the term is used in your lower classes also, and materials are classified into yes, two according to their electrical conductivity, up to your knowledge. Means up to the 10th standard you have learned about two kinds of materials, or the classification based on electrical conductivity of materials. And these two are conductors and insulators. What is a conductor? A conductor is material which can allow the passage of electricity through it. A conductor is a material which can allow the passage of electricity to it. That means charges can pass through that kind of material. Such material is called a conductor. And there is another material called, or there are other kind of materials called insulators, through which electric charges cannot pass through. You know the difference. And in this year you will learn more about one more category of materials which shows electrical properties in between these conductors and insulators, and those materials are called semiconductors. So now we are avoiding that semiconductors, that we are set apart that term semiconductors. We will discuss it in detail. So how now here we can two kinds of materials, conductors and insulators. Insulators sometimes known as dielectrics. And conductors can allow the passage of electricity through them, charges through them. Meanwhile, insulators can't pass through charges through them, electricity through them. But these insulators, which are known as dielectrics, can affect the properties of conductors that we will see later. Now you keep in your mind, even though insulators can't pass through electricity through them, charges through them, they can affect the electrical properties of a conductor that we will see later. Anyhow, suppose you have a conductor and you are providing some charge to that conductor. Automatically, what will happen to that conductor? Its potential will increase. Its surrounding electric charge will increase and its potential will increase. So we can say that its potential is directly proportional to the charge accommodated on it. Because potential is directly proportional to the charge. In the expression for potential also, you can find Q in the numerator, which means V and Q are directly proportional. So as you give more and more charges to a conductor, its potential increases. For a particular conductor, it has some tendency, or it has some capability to store electric charges. And that property is known as its capacitance. And these all terms we will learn, or we will discuss in detail in related to a capacitor. So but now you understand what are these terms related. Suppose a conductor is there, and when you charge a conductor, its potential will increase, and when the potential increases, when you are giving more and more charges to that conductor, its potential will increase more. So that will become a dangerous situation, as I already told you. So our purpose is to store electric charges without increasing its potential too much. So capacitance, so we can say that Q and V are proportional, and Q proportional to V, and Q by V is a constant. You can take it as a Q by V is a constant, and that constant is termed as C, the capacitance of that conductor. So capacitance is defined as the property. You defined it. See, you please note down. See, already I made some slides related to capacitor with all these matters. That is why I am not giving in detail. But you please note down, Q and V are proportional. Q proportional to V. Just please note Q proportional to V. Then you can say that Q by V is a constant, right? And that constant you termed as capacitance, and you can denote it as C, capital C. Okay, so Q by V is equal to C, or Q is equal to C into V. Where Q is the charge on that conductor and V is the potential, and Q by V is equal to C, the capacitance. See, the capacitance is defined as the ability of a conductor to store electric charges in it. Capacitance is the ability of a conductor to store electric charges on it. Now you go back to your equation C is equal to Q by V. Q by V. How you can increase the value of C? Either you increase Q or you decrease V. So a good conductor or a conductor with the good capacitance a conductor with the good capacitance can accommodate maximum Q with a minimum V. Getting? A conductor with good capacitance can accommodate maximum charges Q with minimum potential V. Then only Q by V is become maximum. A good capacitor is, a good conductor is, a conductor with the good capacitance means its capacitance value should be much high. So capacitance value should be high only when Q is more and V is less. That means a conductor which can accommodate maximum charges with the minimum potential should possess a high capacitance. This is the special property of the conductor which leads to design a device which can store electric charges with minimum potential, which can accommodate maximum charges with minimum potential. Such a specially designed device is known as a capacitor. So now we entered into the new chapter, the fourth chapter, which is capacitors. Okay, so I define capacitor as a specially designed device so as to accommodate charges with minimum potential. Okay, now our new chapter begins with capacitors. So, what is a capacitor? So, a device which can store electric charges is known as capacitor. So, as I already told you, the capacitance, all we have defined, and all these we defined for a conductor, And in your textbook, the chapter 4, content 1, 2 and 3 is defined for conductors, but all these terms we can define in relation with the capacitor also. So you can you can go through the content 4.1, 4.2, 4.3 as well, and all those matter is common for both the conductor and capacitor, that you can see now. So a device which can store electric charges is known as capacitor. I already told you what is the property of that good capacitor. A good capacitor can accommodate maximum charges with minimum potential. The property of a capacitor to accommodate charges without increasing the potential much is called capacitance. We have already defined it. The property of a capacitor to accommodate, if it is asked for a conductor, you can change the capacitor to conductor. Okay, so the property of a conductor to accommodate charges without increasing the potential much is called its capacitance. It is common for both conductor and capacitor. See, capacitance is given by C is equal to Q by V. I already told you C is equal to Q by V, where C is the capacitance, Q is the total charge on the capacitor, and V the potential. So from the equation it is clear that when V is minimum and Q is maximum, C will be maximum. Say a good capacitor is a device which can store electric charges without increasing its potential much. That definition you can write by yourself. Listen carefully. A good capacitor is a capacitor which can accommodate or which can store maximum charges with a minimum potential. That you have defined from this equation, C is equal to Q by V. Okay, so you have defined C, the capacitance C is equal to Q by V, where Q is charge and V is the potential. And you know, charge is measured in terms of coulomb, in the unit of coulomb, and V is measured in volt. So C is equal to coulomb by volt. In units, C, the unit of capacitance will become coulomb per volt. Coulomb per volt. So coulomb per volt is known as farad. Coulomb per volt is known as farad. So farad is the unit of capacitance. Farad is the unit of capacitance. So 1 farad is defined as 1 coulomb per 1 volt. 1 farad is defined as 1 coulomb per 1 volt. And 1 farad is defined as the capacitance of a conductor or a capacitor. Capacitance of a conductor or a capacitor if a charge of 1 coulomb rises the potential of it by 1 volt. That means if 1 coulomb charge is given to a capacitor, its potential becomes 1 volt, then the capacitance of that capacitor or conductor is known as 1 farad. I repeat, if 1 coulomb charge is given to a capacitor or a conductor, then its potential rises to 1 volt, then the capacitance of that conductor or capacitor is known as 1 farad. Is it clear? So that is the definition for 1 farad, that is a unit of capacitance. And some lower values of capacitance is millifarad and microfarad, generally used in microfarad 10 to the power minus 6 farad, that is 1 microfarad. Okay, so that is capacitance and its unit. So capacitance, you remember, capacitance is the property of a capacitor to accommodate charges without increasing the potential much is called its capacitance, and its unit is farad, and 1 farad is 1 coulomb per 1 volt, and if 1 coulomb of charge rises the potential of a capacitor by 1 volt, then its capacity or capacitance is defined as 1 farad. Is it clear? Okay, so that is capacitor, capacitance and its unit. So we have defined capacitor is a specially designed device from conductors so as to store electric charges without increasing its potential much. So the ability of a capacitor to store electric charges is known as its capacitance, and the capacitance is defined by Q by V, where Q is the charge on the capacitor and V is the potential. So I already told you capacitor is made up of conductors, and conductor's property is used for designing capacitor. Now we can define capacitance of a conductor. Capacitance of a conductor, not capacitor, capacitance of a conductor. Suppose you have a spherical conductor that we have already used in Gauss's law definition or Gauss's law derivation. So a thin shell you are considered, and for a thin shell the electric potential we have to, electric capacitance or its capacitance we have to define. We have a spherical thin conductor and we have to define its capacitance. Since it is a conductor, it can accommodate charges, and as it accommodates charges, its potential increases. As its potential increases, you can define its capacitance. C is equal to Q by V. So we can go for electric capacitance of a thin spherical conductor. Okay, so capacitance of a spherical conductor. Here You can have a thin conducting shell of radius A, as it's shown, radius A, C, radius, its radius is denoted as A, and is possess a total charge plus Q over its surface. And electric field lines are emanating from the surface, through the surface, and it can provide an electric field, and through that its electric field, through its electric field you can define the potential. Moreover, if it possesses a charge Q, it should possess a potential, and if you know the potential possessed by that charged species, you can charge the conductor, you can define its capacitance. How you can define its capacitance? Capacitance C is equal to Q by V. So if you know Q, you know Q, and you have to define its potential V, then you can easily calculate its capacitance. So you know, this thin shell you can consider as a point charge, when that you have already seen when we have defined or derived the Gauss theorem and applied Gauss theorem so as to find out the electric field intensity, and using that the potential of the spherical shell V should be 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q divided by A, where Q is the total charge and A is the radius. So actually this is potential due to a charge Q at a distance A. Potential due to a charge Q at a distance A. I already told you, even though it's a spherical shell, you can consider it as a point charge. So if you calculate the potential at potential due to plus Q charge at a point A, at a distance A, then V should be 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by A. Remember, what is A? The radius of the shell. So the point lies on the surface of the shell. So you can define this potential V as a potential over the surface of that conductor. Potential over the surface of that conductor. So V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by A. So V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by A volt is the potential on the surface. Hence, Q is the total charge and V is the potential. Now you can define the capacitance. The capacitance C is equal to Q by V, which is equal to Q divided by what is V? 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by A. So you have defined Q divided by 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 Q by A. Q and Q get cancels. 4 pi epsilon 0 A will be in the denominator as a denominator. So it will go as the numerator. So C is equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 A. 4 pi epsilon 0 A, where C is the capacitance and A is the radius. So remember, the potential is independent of the charge, but the capacitance is independent of the charge. It is depending upon the radius of the shell. So as the radius increases, capacitance of the spherical shell also increases. So this is the capacitance of a conductor in the form of a thin spherical shell. And we have used the same equation, C is equal to Q by V, and you know Q is the charge on the conductor and V is the potential due to the charge Q. So you can calculate Q by V, then that results in 4 pi epsilon 0 A, where A is the radius of the thin shell. So that is the capacitance of a spherical conductor. So we have defined the capacitance of a spherical conductor, and that is just shown for checking. We can say that it's checking that equation C is equal to Q by V, where Q is the charge and V is the potential. So I already told you that is a property of a conductor, and that special property we utilized for designing a capacitor. So now we can go for in detail about the properties of a capacitor. So we have already defined capacitor as the specially designed device so as to store electric charges made up of conductors. And capacitor can be of different types. But most widely used capacitor is a parallel plate capacitor. It is a parallel plate capacitor. So how you can construct a parallel plate capacitor? How you can construct a parallel plate capacitor, and how you can define the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, that we are going to discuss now. So we can start with parallel plate capacitor. Parallel plate capacitor. So a parallel plate capacitor you can construct by placing two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates very near to each other. You can construct a parallel plate capacitor by placing two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates. Listen carefully. Two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates very near to each other. Very near to each other. Can you remember anything now? Yes, I already told you when we were discussing about the electric field intensity due to infinitely thin sheet of charges using Gauss's theorem. I given you a special case there. That means two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates which is having plus sigma and minus sigma as the surface charge densities kept close to each other. Then on either side of these two plates no electric field is intensity is there, and electric field is residing only in between the plates. At that time I told you we will use this in another situation and you have to remember it always. You can refer back to our video then and you can recollect it, and that is the technique of constructing a parallel plate capacitor. You take two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates and keep it very close to each other. That simply makes a parallel plate capacitor, provided one of the plates should be grounded. One of the plates should be grounded. Generally negative plate is grounded. So one plate should be, or one charged conducting plate should be grounded, and when you keep two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates very close to each other, that should be a that will construct a parallel plate capacitor. That will construct a parallel plate capacitor. And suppose you have constructed a parallel plate capacitor by placing two equal and oppositely charged plates very close to each other, you can find out what is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. What is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor? How we can define the capacitance of a capacitor? Just as we have defined C is equal to Q by V, where Q is the charge and V is the potential. So you have to find out the potential, and if you know the charge Q, you can divide Q by V so as to find out the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. So I repeat, parallel plate capacitor is the most widely used type of capacitor, and it can be constructed by placing two equal and oppositely charged conducting plates very close to each other. Equal and oppositely charged plates very close to each other, provided one plate should be grounded. One plate should be grounded. See, we have two plates with the plus Q and minus Q charges over them, two equal and oppositely charged plates which are separated by a distance d, and it is connected to a battery so as to charge it. Means when you keep two plates separately, two plates, it will not provide any charge or it will not give you any potential also. You have to charge that capacitor, then only the plates will acquire charge plus Q and minus Q. Okay. See, now we have to define the capacitance of that parallel plate capacitor. So you know, I already told you there is no electric field intensity on either side of the on either side of the conducting plates, and the electric field intensity will remain inside, in between the plates only. Since there is no electric field on either side of the capacitor, no potential is there, so electric potential is there between the plates only, and we have to find out first the potential on that parallel plate capacitor. Okay, so for that we know the electric field intensity between the plates is equal to sigma by epsilon 0. That is, already you have defined E is equal to sigma by epsilon 0, and which is equal to Q by A epsilon 0, where Q is the total charge, Q is the total charge, Q is the total charge, but A is the total area of that plate. So sigma can be taken as Q by A. So E is equal to sigma by epsilon 0, which is equal to Q by A epsilon 0. That is the electric field intensity between the plates. And the potential between the plates, V is equal to E into D. Anybody having doubt about that equation, V is equal to E into D? That also we have already defined in the last class. That is potential gradient, electric field as a potential gradient. So E is equal to V by D. Electric field divided by distance is equal to the electric potential. That is definition for electric field as negative gradient electric potential. See, so that is V is equal to E into D. I think I may be clear. So V is equal to E into D, where E is equal to sigma by epsilon 0 multiplied by D. And the sigma by epsilon 0 you can replace by Q by A epsilon 0 multiplied by D. Is it clear? No, nothing extra we have done. We just calculated the potential. So that is the potential between the plates. So you have the total charge on the plate is Q, and the potential between the plates is V, that is sigma D by epsilon 0 or Q D by A epsilon 0. Now you can find out the capacitance. So capacitance C is equal to Q by V. So that is Q divided by what is V? Q D by A epsilon 0. Q and Q get cancels, so that will become epsilon 0 A by D. That is epsilon 0 A by D. So that is the capacitance C is equal to epsilon 0 A by D. So the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor you got as C is equal to epsilon 0 A by D. See, if you have constructed a parallel plate capacitor, now what are the factors that can affect the capacitance of that parallel plate capacitor? Factors you can see: C is equal to epsilon 0 A by D. What is A? The plate area. You have C, the area of the plate, and what is D? The separation between the plates. And C is proportional to A, and D is inversely proportional to C. C is proportional to A and C is inversely proportional to D. So if you have increases A, C can be increased. If you decreases D, if you have decreased D, the value of C can be increased. But can you imagine the size of a capacitor? Have you seen a capacitor? I think most of you have seen capacitor. Capacitor is a cylindrical in shape, and it has two leads. One is longer than the other. The longer one is positive lead, and the shorter one is the negative one. I think you have seen capacitor. In the next class I will show you the figure of a capacitor. And in many electrical circuits, capacitor is used. In a tape recorder, have you seen a tape recorder circuit? If you have a old tape recorder or a radio set in your house, you just break it. If it is an old one and not working, then only you have to break it. Otherwise, it will be a dangerous problem. As the potential charge increases, potential increases, it will become a dangerous situation. So in the break, this lockdown situation, don't break it as a breakdown situation. Okay. So if you have such a old a transistor circuit or a tape recorder circuit, if you break it, you can find this kind of cylindrical circuit elements there that are capacitors, or in your ceiling fan or any kind of electrical devices are get damaged if you are bringing or taking it to the service center. Sometimes they are saying that it's capacitor gone and you have to change the capacitor. So or in any most of the electrical circuit, this capacitor can be used. So its size, I am talking about its size. So the size of the capacitor should be as minimum as possible. Nowadays all the electrical circuits are its size is become lesser and lesser, and it's a main reason is somewhat else. Anyhow, we will come to that also we will discuss in this syllabus. Anyhow, you keep in your mind that our capacitor is also having size as minimum as possible, but its capacitance should be as high as possible. So how you can, our purpose, we are talking about what are the factors affecting capacitance of a capacitor. So two factors we have found. One is plate area and the other is distance separate, distance of separation between the plates. So we are talking about the size of that capacitor, plate area as the factor which can affect the capacitance. So if you are increasing the plate area, the size of the capacitor will become larger and larger. The current situation, that is not possible. But anyhow, that is a factor which can increase the capacitance of a capacitor, parallel plate capacitor, by increasing the plate area. But it is not practical. Second aspect is you can decrease the separation between the plates, and how you can increase the capacitance by altering the distance between the plates. If you are decreasing the distance between the plates, your capacitance can be increased. But there are also some practical difficulties are there. You can't decrease the separation too much. So those two factors, even though they can affect the capacitance, practically it is not possible to alter the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor by changing plate area or plate distance. But another factor is there, that is epsilon zero. What is epsilon zero? Epsilon zero is the permittivity of free space. Epsilon zero is the permittivity of free space. From where it comes? It comes from the electric field intensity between the plates. Electric field intensity between the plates we have defined as epsilon zero, sigma by epsilon zero. Sigma by epsilon zero. Why that comes epsilon zero there? From where epsilon zero comes there? From Gauss's theorem. Gauss's theorem that electric field intensity is equal to 1 by epsilon zero times the charge enclosed. Why in Gauss's theorem 1 by epsilon zero is used? Because Gauss theorem in that situation defines in a free space. And suppose instead of defining electric field in free space, suppose you are defining electric field in a medium with electric field, in a medium with electric permittivity epsilon m. Electric permittivity with epsilon m. So epsilon m is the permittivity of the medium, then E will become sigma by epsilon m. Instead of sigma by epsilon 0, that will become sigma by epsilon m. That is a situation when you are keeping any other material instead of free space, you are filling the distance or the space between the plates with any kind of material then epsilon 0 will move into epsilon m. Epsilon 0 will change into epsilon m. And epsilon 0 by epsilon 0 you can replace by epsilon m. Are you getting that? If you are filling any kind of medium in between the plates instead of free space, then that epsilon 0 you can replace by epsilon m. There is a relation between epsilon m and epsilon 0. I have already mentioned that epsilon relation between epsilon m by epsilon 0, that is epsilon m divided by epsilon 0 is defined as epsilon r or equal to k. That is known as relative permittivity. Relative permittivity. Permittivity of a medium with respect to permittivity of free space. Permittivity of a medium with respect to permittivity of free space is known as relative permittivity. Permittivity of a medium with respect to permittivity of free space is known as relative permittivity. If you are placing any insulating medium in between the plates, its permittivity is epsilon m. So epsilon m divided by epsilon 0 is equal to k. That is known as dielectric constant. I already told you insulator is also known as dielectric. So epsilon m divided by epsilon 0 for a dielectric medium, that is insulating medium, is known as dielectric constant. So epsilon m is equal to k into epsilon 0. Epsilon m is equal to k into epsilon 0 for a dielectric. So in simple words, we can say that if you are placing any insulating material between the plates, that epsilon 0 can be replaced by epsilon m, which is equal to k into epsilon 0, For all the dielectrics, k is greater than 1. Then epsilon m is equal to k into epsilon 0. Then epsilon m should be always greater than epsilon 0. Okay, now you replace, if there is a dielectric between the plates, then the new capacitance C dash is equal to k into epsilon 0 a divided by d, where epsilon is equal to k into epsilon 0. I already told you epsilon is equal to epsilon 0 into k. For any dielectric medium, epsilon is greater than epsilon 0. Any dielectric medium, epsilon is greater than epsilon 0. Okay, epsilon is greater than epsilon 0. So epsilon is equal to epsilon 0 into k. Since k greater than 1, epsilon should be greater than epsilon 0. Then since epsilon is greater than epsilon 0, capacitance also should be greater. When a dielectric slab is there between the plates, then the capacitance increases. C dash is equal to k into epsilon 0 a by d. Where epsilon 0 a by d is equal to c. So c dash can be taken as k into c. C dash is equal to k into c. Okay, so that is practically possible method to increase the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. That means instead of keeping air or free space between the plates, you can keep any kind of dielectric medium between the plates. Why you are keeping dielectric medium between the plates? Because for dielectric medium, their relative permittivity or the dielectric constant is greater than 1. Okay, then the force between the plate should be less. We will discuss it in later. Now you realize that whenever you are keeping a dielectric medium between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor, its capacitance increases by the factor dielectric constant. Okay. So that is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. So capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor is given by C is equal to epsilon 0 A by D, where A is the plate area and D is the distance between the plates, and epsilon 0 is the permittivity of free space. And if you are filling the space between the plates with a dielectric medium with a constant K, then the capacitance value can be increased. Then the new capacitance will become C dash is equal to K into C, where K is the dielectric constant, that is K into epsilon 0 A by D. So that is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. So we have defined the capacitor, and as a property of capacitor, capacitance, and which are the one kind of capacitor, that is parallel plate capacitor, and the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, and what are the factors affecting the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Then how you can practically increase the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. So all these matters we have defined, and we have defined the dielectric constant as the relative permittivity of the medium divided by permittivity of free space. And for a dielectric, K is always greater than 1. Don't get confused with that. For a dielectric, K is much greater than 1, that is epsilon by epsilon 0 greater than 1. So epsilon by epsilon 0 is K. So epsilon equal to K into epsilon 0, which means since K much greater than 1, always greater than 1, epsilon is always greater than epsilon 0. That is why when we are introducing a dielectric between the plates of capacitor, the capacitance increases. So that is capacitor, parallel plate capacitor, capacitance, and the practical method to increase the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Okay. So as I already told you, go through the content very well and make your own notes, and solve the problems also. I think the next homework also you got, and you are following that, and make sure that you are taking that concepts clearly. And if you have any doubt, I already told you, you can contact to me, and you can resolve your problems. And if you are not getting any problems, then also you can inform me. And that particular question, first of all, you can consult with your friends. So even though your friends are also not getting the answers, and then inform me, and I will give you the solution for those particular questions also. Anyhow, prepare well, and be up to date, and that's all. Okay, so that's all for today, and we will meet in the next class. Bye.